Chapter 1. In the first year of my marriage, Regina never let me touch her. Not once. Yet on the very day her so-called unforgettable first love returned, she got pregnant. I wasn't angry. I kept buying her jewelry and handbags. When morning sickness made her cry, I gently wiped away her tears with my fingertips. Everyone around us said I must truly be in love with her. I only smiled. Then I calmly left a comment under a trending post titled, "How powerful is the allure of an unforgettable first love?" Too powerful. That's why I married her sister. I wanted to watch her twin sister, who has the exact same face, have everything, and then end up with nothing. If I count carefully, Regina and I had been married for exactly 1 year. The day Francis returned was our first wedding anniversary. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window of a hotel not far away, coldly watching Regina and Francis kissing passionately at the musical fountain in the Central Plaza. They were entwined together, completely lost in their emotions. The cigarette between my fingers burned down slowly until it accidentally scorched my skin. I didn't even react. The cigarette but fell to the carpet, leaving behind a small burned hole. That night, Regina didn't come home. She didn't even bother to give me an explanation. In the middle of the night, Francis sent me a photo. Regina was asleep on white hotel bedsheets. Her face shone in profile. The red birthmark at the corner of her eye was especially clear. My favorite spot. Francis sent it deliberately to provoke me. Look at your wife. 1 year of marriage, and all it took was a single beckon for her to crawl into my bed. Ethan, I've been gone for a year, and you still couldn't win Gina's heart. What a loser. But who said I ever wanted Regina's heart? Chapter 2. The next morning, rumors of Regina cheating with her ex-lover exploded everywhere. The Lee family stock and the He family stock both plummeted. Lee's father was furious. He slapped Regina hard across the face. When I arrived, Lee's father immediately invited me to sit down and personally poured me tea. "Ethan, don't take this to heart. These are all baseless rumors. None of it is true. You've been married to Gina for a year. You should know her character." I didn't answer. I just looked at Regina. She didn't show me even a trace of kindness. Instead, she sneered coldly. "Ethan, I've told you before I don't like you. Our marriage has only existed in name. Let's get divorced." I shook my head slightly. "No." Regina laughed mockingly. "They all say you're my simp. They're not wrong. We've slept in separate rooms for a year. Now I've cheated and you still won't divorce me. Ethan, do you really love me that much?" Seeing my expression darken, Lee's father slapped Regina again. "Stop talking nonsense. You should understand what a blessing it is to marry President Koo. Look at how good he is to you. Can't you see that?" Regina froze. She covered her face as tears slowly fell. When she looked at me again, there was a hint of guilt in her eyes. I know. I was shaken at first. But Francis is back. He's back. No matter how good anyone else is, they can't compare to him. Maybe Regina had once been moved by my affection, by my indulgence, by the endless gifts. But fleeting tenderness could never defeat the years of love she had with him. Francis always came first. I sighed, stood up, and pulled Regina down to sit beside me. I gently tidied her messy hair. "Regina, I still don't want a divorce." Maybe I had been too gentle, so gentle that people forgot their limits. Regina nodded almost unconsciously. "Ethan, don't be so good to me. I'll feel guilty." I smiled softly. "You don't need to feel guilty. Just wait a little longer, Regina. Give me a little more time." Chapter 3. That evening, when I returned home, Regina surprisingly showed me kindness. She brought me a midnight snack. "Ethan, you didn't eat dinner. Have something. It's bad for your stomach." As soon as Regina closed the bedroom door, her figure overlapped with the girl in my memories. I stared at the photo on my phone. A girl in a light yellow dress, holding vivid red roses. Her eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. On her slender finger was a pink diamond ring, extended proudly toward the camera. I remembered it clearly. Back then, she lifted her chin confidently and asked, "Ethan, do I look good?" Coconut tree shadows by the sea. Blue waters. A soft ocean breeze lifting her hair. She walked along the beach, step by step, always turning back to look at me. Beautiful. You're always the most beautiful in my eyes. Thunder outside the window snapped me back to reality. The midnight snack had long gone cold. I dumped it into the trash and went into the bathroom. Time passes, but the one who can't move on suffers the most. Some people are irreplaceable. Ethan, you should have understood that long ago. Chapter 4. For the next 2 days, Regina behaved herself. She stayed home and cooked dinner for me. But it only lasted 2 days. On the third day, she was trending again, with Francis. This time, they attended an auction together. Francis spent millions on a diamond necklace and personally put it around Regina's slender, pale neck in front of everyone. When they walked out, a light drizzle began to fall. Francis held a transparent umbrella and pulled Regina tightly into his arms. I had to admit, the photos were beautiful. Walking through the rain, deeply in love, like the leads of a romance drama. If they weren't Regina and Francis, I might have praised them as a perfect match. Unfortunately, Regina is my wife. Cheating is a scandal, no matter who does it. The Lee and he family stocks dropped again. At the same time, a beautiful third-tier actress also hit the trending topics. Someone with ulterior motives dug up her past relationship with Francis. Regina was furious. She called Francis, only to be met with cold indifference. You're married. What right do you have to question who I'm with? Regina, don't forget, you were the one who let go first. You married Ethan for your family. Regina cried. Francis, you can't do this to me. I stayed loyal to you for an entire year. You can't betray me. If I weren't involved, I would have thought I was watching a tragic love drama. Later, Regina called me from a bar. Her voice was thick with alcohol and sobbing. Ethan, come pick me up, take me home. When I arrived, the table was covered with empty bottles. Francis's betrayal had hurt her badly. The last time Regina got drunk was on our engagement day. She wore a red cheongsam. Her face showed no joy, like a puppet with its strings cut. That night, she smashed a bottle at my feet. Glass shards cut my ankle. Crying hysterically, she shouted, Ethan, you bastard. You're bullying me. I don't like you, not at all. I don't want to marry you. Why can't I be with the one I love? She collapsed at my villa gate, crying until Lee's mother dragged her away. As the car disappeared, I stood there for a long time. Yeah, I also want to ask, why can't I be with the one I love? Chapter 5. I brought Regina home. In our year of marriage, we always slept separately. On our wedding night, Regina warned me, if I touched her, she'd accuse me of rape. This time was different. She held onto my hand and refused to let go. Ethan, don't go, don't leave me alone. She pulled me down beside her. You're the only one who's ever been good to me. I was wrong. I didn't cherish you. Let's really be together. She tried to kiss me. I turned my face away. You've had too much to drink. I tucked her in. As she slept, she looked docile, like a kitten. She whimpered in her sleep, gripping my hand tightly. The red mole by her eye fluttered with her lashes. For a moment, I felt like I'd returned 10 years ago. Back then, another girl cried the same way. Ethan, will you protect me forever? I will. That promise, I intended to keep for life. Chapter 6. After that night, Regina truly changed. She cooked, waited for me, prepared baths. She knocked on my door at night in silk gowns. I never opened it, because I saw her hesitating before hanging up Francis's calls. On my birthday, she prepared everything. Ethan, make a wish. Her phone rang. Francis. Gina, don't leave me. The wind by the river is cold. She rushed out without looking back. The candles flickered. I closed my eyes and wished to be with the one I love. Chapter 7. That night, I sat on the balcony staring at the stars. I remembered the first time I met her. I was 12. Because I was born prematurely, I was always weak and sickly. And that was how everything began. Because I looked fair and delicate, almost like a little girl, I was often bullied by my classmates. They called me androgynous. They stuffed caterpillars into my desk and laughed hysterically when I jumped in shock. See? I told you Ethan is a girl. Only girls are afraid of caterpillars. Ha ha. My parents were always busy with work and rarely had time for me. I didn't dare fight back. I could only curl up in a corner and cry quietly. Until one day, a small figure stood in front of me. She picked up the caterpillar and threw it back at the boy who had been teasing me. Bullying people, what kind of man does that make you? If you bully Ethan again, I'll tell the teacher. The classmates didn't care about her words, but they feared her. She was a top student, the teacher's favorite. They backed off, but not without sneering. Ha ha ha, Ethan, how pathetic. You need a little girl to protect you. You two should be sisters. Ha ha ha. Careless words spoken in childhood can wound a young heart deeply. But a single kind sentence can make a boy stand up straight for the rest of his life. She patted my head gently. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you from now on. Ethan, one day you'll become a real man. Those words changed my life. I started running, riding bikes, exercising. With the help of the family doctor, I slowly grew stronger. I was no longer that frail little boy. Because I, too, had someone I wanted to protect for the rest of my life. Chapter 8. Regina started leaving early and coming home late again. Sometimes she didn't come home at all. I didn't question her. I didn't blame her. I'd already grown used to it over the past year. In the empty villa, it was just me alone. But I had long since adapted to that loneliness. I threw myself completely into work, not only at Coup Corporation, but also helping Lee Corporation secure multiple cooperation deals with us. Every time Mr. Lee signed a contract, he would sigh repeatedly, full of regret. I didn't raise my daughter properly. I've really let you down. I would only smile faintly. I never blamed him too much. Regina was the most beloved daughter of the Lee family, spoiled beyond measure. If she wanted the moon, Mr. Lee would find a way to buy the naming rights to a star and name it after her. So when Regina insisted on marrying into the He family, which was a tier below the Lee family, Mr. Lee still agreed. But at that time, Lee Corporation had a crucial cooperation project with Coup Corporation. In the end, Mr. Lee had to sacrifice Regina's love. Because of this, he felt deeply indebted to her. As long as I didn't get angry, he turned a blind eye to everything she did. And in Mr. Lee's eyes, my patience only proved how deeply I loved Regina. He probably believed that as long as Regina kept me firmly hooked, one day Lee Corporation might even grow enough to swallow Coup Corporation. I could understand his thinking. If I were truly a fool blinded by love. Mr. Lee, it's been a pleasure doing business. I put away the signed contract and opened a bottle of champagne. Mr. Lee raised his glass happily and clinked it against mine. Ethan, the luckiest thing in my life is having you as my son-in-law. I drained the glass in one gulp and replied sincerely, being able to marry your daughter is the greatest blessing of my life. Mr. Lee paused, then sighed deeply again. But I knew his sighs weren't for my pain. He was only helpless about Regina's recklessness. Chapter 9. I didn't see Regina again until more than a month later. That day, she cooked dinner at home. It wasn't very good. Red wine. Candles. The atmosphere looked warm and romantic. But I knew she wasn't doing this to reconcile with me. She was pregnant. And needless to say, the child belonged to Francis. This carefully arranged scene was meant for one thing only: divorce. Sometimes I really couldn't understand her. Why create such a romantic setup just to talk about divorce? Anyone who didn't know better would think it was our wedding anniversary. Regina sat quietly beside me, watching as I finished the steak on my plate, bite by bite. She was unusually patient. Only after I finished eating did she finally speak. Ethan, I'm sorry. Our marriage has reached its end. She handed me a divorce agreement. Perhaps because she was pregnant, Regina felt guilty toward me. She also didn't want to affect the cooperation between Coup Corporation and Lee Corporation. The agreement was extremely clean. She was leaving with almost nothing. But it didn't matter. When she married me, I hadn't taken anything either. I picked up the pen, but didn't sign immediately. I looked up at the beautiful, alluring woman sitting across from me. "Regina, are you sure Francis loves you, and only you forever?" She clearly hadn't expected that question. She stared at me blankly for a long time. Then a flicker of guilt crossed her eyes, and she looked away. "Francis loves me. I know he does. He only loves me. Ethan, stop playing games. Sign it. Let's separate peacefully." This time, I didn't hesitate. I signed my name quickly. With a final stroke, my brief and absurd marriage with Regina officially ended. When Regina took the agreement, she stared at my signature for a long time. "Ethan, you don't seem sad at all." I nodded calmly. "Because I don't love you." Regina froze. Her expression shifted from disbelief to realization, and finally, to panic and confusion. Tears fell from her eyes as she turned to leave in a hurry. I grabbed her wrist tightly. I smiled and looked straight into her eyes. "Regina, we can't part on good terms." Chapter 10. Later, I heard that Lee Corporation and He Corporation had begun cooperating. If the project succeeded, the two families might surpass Coup Corporation. Because of this, Regina and Francis's wedding was prepared hastily. When the invitation arrived, I was watching a video. Regina leaned against Francis's shoulder, smiling radiantly as she announced her upcoming marriage. A surge of anger rose from deep in my chest. I smashed the tablet. Only by looking at the photo on my phone did I calm down. "Selena, you were supposed to be the one who found happiness. Don't worry, I'll make them pay." The girl I loved had never been Regina. The one I loved was Selena, Regina's twin sister. They looked about 70 to 80% alike, especially the red mole at the corner of their eyes. Both sisters had it. I admit that sometimes seeing Regina's face comforted my grief. But over time, I became painfully clear. Regina was not Selena, and she could never replace her. My Selena was innocent and beautiful. Her smile was gentle like moonlight. She was warmth itself, a ray of light that shone into my life. But Regina wasn't. In the Lee family, Selena was never as favored as Regina. When Mrs. Lee gave birth to Regina, everything went smoothly. But Selena's birth was difficult. So difficult it nearly cost Mrs. Lee her life. Because of that, Mrs. Lee resented Selena and favored Regina. Mr. Lee followed her lead. After Selena protected me, we became each other's only friends. We grew up together, studied together. Eventually, we confessed our feelings. We were supposed to get married, but on the very day my proposal succeeded, Selena died. Mr. and Mrs. Lee said it was an accidental fall. I didn't believe them. My Selena was careful, resilient, like a pear blossom standing firm in a storm. More importantly, her body didn't have the engagement ring I had given her, a pink diamond ring. I searched all her belongings. It was nowhere to be found. Then one day, I saw Regina wearing a pink diamond necklace. Cherry blossom pink diamonds were extremely rare. I was certain that was the diamond from Selena's engagement ring. On Regina and Francis's wedding day, I didn't attend. Because chaos doesn't need to be invited. To recover the plummeting stock prices caused by their scandal, Mr. Lee invited more than 20 media outlets to the wedding. He wanted them to write glowing reports to redeem the disgraced couple. I sat in my office, watching the wedding unfold remotely, step by step, and a subtle sense of satisfaction rose within me. Regina, Francis, just wait. You'll remember this wedding for the rest of your lives. This is my carefully prepared gift for you. A wedding of death. Chapter 11. After a year of painstaking investigation, I finally uncovered the truth behind Selena's fall. Perhaps heaven pitied me. Outside the Lee family villa, a young man had once been flying a drone in a nearby park. He accidentally recorded the entire crime. It took me a month of reviewing surveillance footage around the villa to find that crucial clue. But when I rushed to the boy's home, he had already gone abroad for his studies. His parents were extremely wary of me and refused to reveal his location. I had no choice but to keep searching. Eventually, I learned he was studying in Germany. I boarded the nearest flight. When I finally found him and showed him Selena's photo, he avoided it nervously. He refused to admit he'd ever seen her. I stayed near his school for half a month. Every day, I went to find him, begging him, pleading. Perhaps it was my unshaven beard, or the despair in my eyes. Something softened him. He finally sent me the drone footage. That day, he truly had recorded it. The video was taken from far away. The faces weren't clear, but the sequence of events could still be seen. By then, 3 months had already passed since Selena's fall. I watched the video over and over that night. And finally, I understood everything. I finally knew why Selena fell. On the day she accepted my proposal, she wasn't pushed. Chapter 12. The wedding officially began. Regina wore a fluffy white gown, an exquisite crown, and held an expensive lily-of-the-valley bouquet. With Mr. Lee's support, she slowly walked toward Francis. Francis stood at the center of the stage, smiling tenderly. They truly looked well matched. Before parents, friends, and countless flashing cameras, they made their vows. For richer or poorer, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, to love and cherish forever. Francis lifted a diamond ring the size of a pigeon egg and slowly tried to slide it onto Regina's finger. But it wouldn't go on. Murmurs spread. Disdainful gazes turned toward the couple. A bold reporter handed them a video. The screen lit up. On a villa rooftop, a man pinned down a girl in a pale yellow dress, trying to force himself on her as she struggled. Another girl in a red dress rushed over, dragged him away, and slapped the girl in yellow. No sound could be heard, only violence, hair pulling, slapping, shoving. The man sat nearby in a rattan chair, watching with amusement. Then the girl in red tried to grab something. The girl in yellow refused to let go. Enraged, the red-dressed girl grabbed a garden hoe and struck the back of her head. The girl in yellow collapsed instantly. Even the man stood up in shock and checked her pulse. After panicking briefly, they pushed her off the rooftop. A gasp echoed through the crowd. "That looks like the Lee family villa. They have flowers all over their rooftop." Another voice in the crowd agreed immediately. "Yes, yes, Mrs. Lee loves planting flowers. And the girl in the video, she looks like Regina. And that man, doesn't he look exactly like Francis?" Someone suddenly gasped, as if struck by lightning. "Wait, didn't the Lee family have another daughter? She fell from a building more than a year ago." The murmurs grew louder and louder, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. On stage, Regina and Francis both went pale. The diamond ring slipped from Francis's fingers and hit the ground with a dull sound. Regina grabbed Francis's hand in panic, her voice trembling as she tried to explain. No, it's not like that. It wasn't me." Selena fell accidentally. "It had nothing to do with me." "Fran, say something. Help me explain." Flashes from reporters exploded nonstop, questions flying at her from every direction. Under that overwhelming pressure, Regina fainted. The bouquet scattered across the floor. The crown fell crooked. The pristine white wedding dress was smeared and stained. A wedding turned into a complete farce. I closed the video. For the first time, I felt the pleasure of long-awaited revenge. "Regina, I told you before, we were never going to part on good terms. I want you to wish you were dead." Chapter 13. After that chaos, Regina lost the baby. Standing outside the hospital room, I could clearly hear Regina and Francis arguing inside. The sound of objects being smashed echoed through the hallway. Francis was trending again. This time, multiple women jointly accused him of workplace sexual harassment and drugging women. Leading the accusations was the third-tier actress whose past relationship with Francis had once made headlines. In the video, the actress appeared without makeup. Her voice was steady and organized, though her hands trembled and her eyes reddened as she spoke. She said she met Francis at a friend's gathering. She had only wanted to focus on acting and never intended to get involved with wealthy men. Francis repeatedly tempted her with money. She refused every time, so he drugged her drink. She woke up in Francis's arms. She nearly committed suicide. When Francis realized things were spiraling out of control, he hypocritically coaxed her. offering money and resources while threatening her. He told her his family was powerful. If anything happened, she would be the one who suffered. With no way out, she accepted everything. She agreed to be his mistress. But secretly, she began collecting evidence. The more she uncovered, the worse it became. Francis was rotten to the core. Besides Regina, he maintained relationships with multiple women. He verbally and physically harassed pretty female employees in his company. It wasn't an exception. It was his nature. Inside the hospital room, Regina cried hysterically as she blamed Francis. "Francis, you forgot what you promised me. You said you'd never mess around with other women again, if it weren't for you. I wouldn't have done that to Selena." Francis was silent for a moment. Then he spoke impatiently. "You blame me. You were the one who did it. Regina, do you realize how serious this is? Both our families, both our companies, are surrounded by reporters. The corporation's stock has hit rock bottom. My old man chewed me out. I asked a lawyer. The video doesn't show our faces clearly. The audio isn't clear either. As long as we deny it, the police can't do anything. Even if they identify us, we'll push everything onto Selena. We'll say she seduced me, stole from you, and you accidentally hurt her. Just never admit it was intentional. Don't worry. Your dad and my dad will handle it. Just like a year ago. We'll fool everyone again." After a long silence, Regina nodded. She sobbed quietly as she leaned into Francis's arms. "Fran, I'm scared. It's all that damn Selena's fault. Even after dying, she still won't let us live in peace." Francis fell silent again. "There are too many reporters outside. We should lay low for a while, until our dads take care of everything." Regina agreed. She got up to change, ignoring her weak body after the miscarriage. "I left before they opened the hospital door." Regina, "Francis, thank you for walking straight into my trap. I'll make sure you regret ever thinking your little tricks were clever." Chapter 14. When I arrived at the Lee family villa, Mr. Lee was already discussing countermeasures with Mr. He. The entire villa was filled with top-tier lawyers. When Mr. Lee saw me, it was as if he'd found a lifeline. He personally poured tea for me, his tone unusually humble. "Ethan's son." Halfway through, he paused, realizing I was no longer married to Regina. "This old man knows you have wide connections. You must have a way to save Gina, right? You were married for a year. I truly hoped you'd grow old together. But Gina was immature. She let you down. But for the sake of that year, can you save her? She's innocent." I stared at his fawning face and felt nothing but disgust. I laughed softly. "What price are you willing to pay to save Regina?" Mr. Lee froze. Then he smiled, as if he'd suddenly understood. "As long as you save Gina, I'm willing to give anything." He probably thought I wanted to remarry Regina. In his eyes, I was still hopelessly in love. I let out a cold laugh. "If you'd treated Lena like this back then, she wouldn't have died with regrets. Regina wouldn't be in this mess either. In the end, you ruined your precious daughter yourself." This time, Mr. Lee was truly stunned. Mr. E exchanged a glance with him and spoke bluntly. "It was you. You posted the video. You arranged for someone at the wedding to make everyone believe it was Regina and Francis." Mr. Lee finally understood. He stared at me in disbelief. Why would you do this? Didn't you love Gina? How could you bear to hurt her like this?" Only then did I realize. Mr. Lee was a fool. Even now, he still clung to the illusion of my love. Mr. E rolled his eyes angrily. "Are you stupid? Ethan loved your dead daughter. He did all of this to avenge Selena." Mr. Lee staggered backward and collapsed onto the sofa. Mr. He immediately turned to me with a sycophantic smile. "Mr. Koo, Francis had nothing to do with this. It was all Regina's doing. Please be generous and let Francis go." I shook my head. "No, Mr. E. Francis was an accomplice. You could even say he was the root cause. It was because he tried to assault Lena that Regina acted out of jealousy. Both of them are guilty. Neither will escape." I stood and glanced at Mr. Lee. The question I once wanted to ask for Selena no longer mattered. We already knew the answer. The Lee parents simply didn't love Selena. So they never cared, never understood her, never knew who she loved, and never truly grieved her death. It was that simple. As I reached the door, Mr. Lee shouted after me, "You can't hurt Gina." Mister, he shouted threats as well. "Don't think Coup Corporation size means you can do anything. You won't succeed. The Lee and he families aren't inferior to Coup." I paused and turned back, sneering. When you can't even protect yourselves, why waste your breath? Ignoring their curses, I walked away. As I got into my car, I saw officers from the Bureau of Commercial Crimes enter the villa. Soon after, both Mr. Lee and Mr. He were escorted away in police cars. This, too, was my gift to Regina and Francis. Gathering all that evidence wasn't easy. Their crimes had always been buried by their parents, especially the Lee family. They were also responsible for Selena's death. Not a single one of them would escape. Chapter 15. My assistant glanced at me through the rearview mirror. "Boss, back to the office?" I stared at my reflection in the window and laughed. "No, to the florist. I want to buy flowers. For Selena. I hadn't visited her in a long time. I wondered if she was angry with me. I placed her favorite sunflowers in front of her grave and sat down on the ground, opening a can of beer. "Lena, I'm sorry. I've been busy. I didn't come see you. You miss me, right? I miss you too. Don't worry. It's almost over. Everyone who hurt you will pay." I talked for a long time. I didn't know if she could hear me. Then a butterfly appeared, circling around me before landing on her photo. I think she heard. What would she say? "Ethan, stop drinking. It's bad for your health. When I'm here, you need to listen to me. Don't be sad for me. I want you to always be happy. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for everything. Ethan, I like you. I like you a lot." As the butterfly flew away, I gently touched the smiling girl in the photo. "Lena, I like you too. I like you a lot." I stayed there until dawn. Then I finally left. Chapter 16. I didn't go to the office. I didn't go home. I drove alone into the mountains. After several turns, I stopped in front of a rundown house. I smoked 3 cigars in a row. Only after the third did I push the door open. The moment Francis heard footsteps, he struggled violently. "Who are you? Why did you kidnap us? How much do you want? We'll pay." Regina followed in panic. "Yes, just don't hurt us. My father loves me. He'll pay anything." I slowly removed their blindfolds and sat down across from them. I enjoyed their shock. It had probably been too long since they'd seen daylight. They squinted before recognizing me. "You, Ethan? Why did you kidnap us?" Francis didn't know. He never knew about Selena. Regina knew. She'd known ever since the divorce. From the beginning, I never loved her. She was just a substitute. Keeping her around was meant to make her fall in love without being loved back. To let her suffer longing every single day. "Ethan, are you going to kill us?" Francis was stunned. What? Regina had no time to explain. She cried hysterically. "If you kill us, you'll go to prison too. My father won't let you off." Without realizing it, I had already lit another cigar. Ever since Selena died, I'd become addicted to smoking, one after another, letting the smoke numb everything inside me. But this time, after just 2 puffs, the bitterness was unbearable. I casually pressed the burning end against Regina's leg. "Regina," I said calmly, "do you really think I care? And besides, your father can't protect you anymore. He can't even protect himself." My expression must have terrified her. She didn't even have the strength to scream from the pain. Instead, she sobbed weakly, her voice shaking. "Ethan, Selena is dead. She's already dead. You loved her, didn't you? I'm her twin. We look exactly alike. I can replace her. I can stay with you. I swear I'll behave." At that moment, Francis finally understood everything. He crawled toward me on his knees, his face pale with fear. "Ethan, Mr. Coup, Selena's death had nothing to do with me. Please let me go." An ugly thought suddenly formed in my mind. I nodded slowly. thoughtfully. Only one of you gets to live. So, I continued softly, how will you decide? Regina and Francis exchanged a glance. Their eyes lit up at the same time. Regina spoke first, her voice trembling but desperate. Fran, you said you'd love me, forever. You'll choose me, right? In that instant, Francis dropped all pretense. Without hesitation, he shoved Regina to the ground. Why should I? He snapped. Regina, you said you loved me, then die for me. Besides, Selena's death was your doing, not mine. I only got dragged into this because of you. Regina froze on the ground, staring at him in disbelief. Tears streamed down her face. But, Francis, it was because you wanted to assault Selena that I acted against her. It was because I loved you so much. How could you do this to me? Listening to their accusations, their excuses, their betrayal of each other, the truth finally came together. And that was when I realized I was part of the reason Selena died. Chapter 17, rewritten. Growing up, the Lee parents never cared about Selena. Emotional neglect was all she'd ever known. Regina, on the other hand, was pampered endlessly. They indulged her in everything, right down to allowing her to mistreat Selena without consequence. The day I proposed to Selena, we were both overjoyed. But after the happiness faded, she became quiet. Ethan, my parents don't like me very much, she said softly. I don't know if they'll agree to me being with you. I squeezed her cheek and smiled, trying to reassure her. Marrying into the Koo family? Your parents will definitely agree. That day, like always, I dropped Selena off about 1,000 meters away from the Lee villa. I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her alive. After Selena returned home, she discovered that Francis was there. She went up to the rooftop alone. Mrs. Lee often claimed she loved gardening, but the truth was that Selena did all the work. Her mother only enjoyed admiring the finished flowers. Selena was pulling weeds from the flower beds when Francis followed her up, with malicious intent. He pinned her down. I've played with all kinds of women, he sneered. But I've never tried twins before. Be good, Selena. Let me see if you're just as tempting as your sister. Selena struggled desperately and screamed. Her cries attracted Regina. Without asking what was happening, Regina slapped Selena hard across the face. You slut. Regina screamed. How dare you seduce Francis? I'll beat you to death. No matter how Selena tried to explain, Regina wouldn't listen. When Selena resisted, Regina noticed the pink diamond ring on her finger. She had never seen such a high-quality pink diamond before. Naturally, she wanted it. Oh, Selena, she sneered, which rich man did you seduce to get a ring like that? Give it to me. Give it to me. It was the engagement ring I had given Selena. Of course, Selena refused. Growing up, Selena had always given Regina whatever she wanted. This was the first time she said no. That refusal enraged Regina. In desperation, she grabbed a garden hoe nearby and struck Selena on the back of the head. Selena collapsed instantly. Regina panicked and called out to Francis. What do we do? After a brief pause, Francis made the decision. They would stage it as an accident. With help from both families, Selena's death was quickly covered up. Just like that, her young life ended. Chapter 18 rewritten. I ignored their vicious arguing and walked out. The small, run-down house was barely standing, but it was still a cage. The grave I had carefully prepared for them. I locked every door and window with iron chains and lit another cigar. Inside, their shouting slowly turned into begging. They cursed each other, blamed each other. Then came the pleas. 100 million, 200 million. Offers to become slaves. Offers to be a substitute lover. They were willing to give anything to survive. But none of it mattered. All I ever wanted was Selena. I smoked the cigar down to the end, tossed it aside, and crushed it under my foot. The lighter in my hand clicked open with a sharp bang. Through the cracked window, I tossed it inside. The fire erupted instantly. I wondered if they noticed the gasoline cans I had placed throughout the house. Flames roared. They screamed. They clawed at the doors. In that moment, maybe they finally understood how helpless Selena had felt. Calling to the heavens, no answer. Calling to the earth, in vain. True torment. I didn't leave. I watched until the house collapsed into ruins. I watched until Regina and Francis became nothing but two charred corpses. The fire burned for half a day before dying out. It didn't disappoint me. Chapter 19 rewritten. I returned to the villa and handed all the signed documents to my assistant. Call the police in 2 hours. His hands trembled. Boss, do we really have to do this? I smiled faintly and walked out of the empty house without looking back. Luis, I said calmly, everything wrong must be paid for. I'm no exception. I drove straight to the cemetery. Once again, I brought Selena her favorite sunflowers. This time, I said nothing. I just kept pouring drink after drink. I'll admit I was extravagant. Even now, I chose the most expensive bottle of red wine from the house. I drank until my head spun, then gently kissed the photo on the tombstone. Lena, I'm here to marry you. Wait for me. Extra, Luis's perspective rewritten. I knew about Ethan and Selena. They supported each other since childhood. True childhood sweethearts. A love anyone would envy. So when Miss Lee died suddenly and Mr. Koo decided to marry her sister, I was shocked. I even thought grief had driven him insane. Mr. Koo, I asked carefully, should I make an appointment with a psychologist for you? I'll never forget the cold look he gave me. Later, while helping prepare for the wedding, I realized he didn't care about Regina at all. He was indifferent to everything. Even his suit was something he randomly picked from his closet. But when it came to Selena, he handled everything personally. Even I, his most trusted assistant, was never allowed to intervene. On the night of his wedding to Regina, Mr. Koo went to the office late. He drank alone on the company rooftop. I was terrified. He stood at the edge of the 30th floor, staring down again and again. Suddenly he asked me, Luis, what's the difference between falling from the 30th floor and the 4th floor? I thought carefully. From the 30th floor, death is guaranteed. From the 4th floor, you might survive, but be disabled. Or you might still die. He was silent for a long time. Then he drank half a bottle of wine. Falling from the 4th floor can kill you too. Selena is dead, he said quietly. And my heart died with her. That was when I finally understood. My boss carried a secret far heavier than I'd ever imagined. I did everything he asked of me. Collecting surveillance footage near the Lee Villa. Tracking down the drone boy. Finding out where he studied abroad. Contacting the media. Uploading the video. Bribing staff to guide wedding guests into identifying the figures in the footage as Regina and Francis. Later, after drugging Regina and Francis, Mr. Koo stopped involving me. Luis, he said, you've done enough for me. You don't need to wade into this mess. There will be other things I need you to do in the future. I didn't understand at the time. Later I did. Mr. Koo established a charitable foundation, donating all company profits. I was put in charge. After reporting everything to the police, I followed them to Selena's grave. But Mr. Koo was already dead. He had mixed a large dose of sleeping pills into his wine. Only then did I realize. He had planned everything long ago. At the funeral, the chairman's wife cried until she nearly collapsed. The chairman sat beside her in silence. They were grieving, and they honored their son's final wish, to be buried beside Selena. Later, I brought 2 bouquets of sunflowers to visit them. It was a beautiful day. 2 butterflies fluttered through the air. Mr. Koo, Miss Lee, how are you both?